Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mr. Ali from The Real Story, coming to you from the studios of ZMC Network. It is a Thursday, the 21st of January. And as always, we try to start off the program by giving you the latest COVID figures so we get a understanding of where we are. So these are the latest figures ending the week ending the 15th of January 2021. So in total, the number of new positive cases that we have for the week ending the 15th of January is thus 7,756 versus 9,237 for the week previous. So the cases have gone down by 1,500 in total. In terms of rates per 100,000 of the population, this week 679, and that has gone down from the previous week, which was 809 positive cases. And these are the following wards that have the highest number of positive cases. Starting with Lozels now, that is the second week in a row, that is the highest ward. 1,121 cases per 100,000 of population, followed by Sparkbrook, which has 1,100. After that, Hall Green, 994. Small Heath, which has 985 per 100,000 population. Sparkhill, which has 962. Aston, which is 944. And finally, Yardley, 936. So these are your top 8 wards that have the highest number of positive cases per 100,000 population. There is some good news. The NHS is putting its full resources in ensuring a rollout of the vaccine. And so far to date, we have just shy of 5 million people that have been vaccinated at the moment. So, but there is just some sad news. Yesterday, we had the highest number of deaths recorded so far since we knew that COVID was around. That is 1,820 people. And today I have a very good friend of mine and no stranger to the show, ex-councillor Tariq Khan, who's going to help me to talk about 3 or 4 topics that are dominating the headline news. So welcome, Tariq. I hope you're keeping well. And as always, I want to start off with the impact of lockdown. So we are now in the second to third week of lockdown, and we've got roughly another 4 more weeks of this before the government reviews whether lockdown should be continued or whether we should be in a tier system. So that is going to be done on the 16th of February, so just at the end of half term. What the government have said is that they are not going to spring any more surprises on schools. They will endeavour to give at least 2 weeks notice to the schools in order so they can put plans and put measures in place to safely reopen for their pupils and students. So, Tariq, how are you? Hope you're well. It's nice of you to join me. How are you, Tariq? Are you keeping well?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you. Assalamu alaikum and good evening to you and to the viewers there. And I hope everyone's keeping well and safe and healthy. So really good to be back on the show again with yourself and having a conversation around these topics, particularly the topic of the vaccine versus the virus. Yeah, I never thought we'd say that. You know, when I was last time on the show with yourself, it was all about COVID. But there's some now, we can see some light at the end of the tunnel, inshallah, even though sadly there's been a lot of deaths over the last number of weeks again.
You know, those of us that are on social media, no day goes past where we don't have to offer our condolences, our respects. It just seems as though this new strain is far more worse than the original COVID. We do know that it's 70% more virulent more potent than the first one. And I think that shows in the number of people that we know are positive, and also the number of deaths so far. And, I just earlier shared with my viewers that we've had the highest number of deaths so far before we knew about COVID, and that is 1,820 people died since yesterday, or since recorded yesterday. So this thing isn't going away, Tariq, is it? So maybe, at the start of the year, when I thought, we are now going to have the light at the end of the tunnel, it seems as though that maybe for the best part of 2021, this is how things are going to be unfolding.
Absolutely. So I think this is going to be the recovery year, isn't it? Really, yeah. Going into 2022, so this is going to be a long year ahead, a challenging year. But like I said, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's about from the news I've seen today. There's about 200 doses per minute that are being delivered at the moment,
Oh, wow.
which is really encouraging. Obviously, in terms of the vaccine itself, as long as the supplies keep coming in, I think that
Yeah.
will really help the situation. And I know you're going to touch on it, but I think the negativity surrounding the vaccines is really bad in some communities and some groups into scaremongering. So we need to really, put the lid on that, Ali.
We will definitely touch on that. But I just want to talk about now, we're in our third lockdown, and we are at home. I'm spending all my days stuck inside in front of a screen,
Yeah.
working, on Teams, Zoom. And you know what? It's not good for my mental health. I've certainly put on a stone. And I'm sort of eating the wrong kinds of food as well. But one thing that we have seen is from the update from Dr. Justin Varney, who is the public health director, is that it's the people that are aged between 35 and 60 years old, between that 35 and 60 age bracket, that are the super spreaders. They're the ones that are going around getting infected. They're having handshakes. They're not keeping a social distance. They're not wearing face masks. They're sort of giving a bit of a man help to everyone. And they are the ones that are giving it on to their elderly relatives and their elderly parents, who are then getting the worst of it.
So,
What are your
to
thoughts?
that point, you're absolutely right. The thing is, it's it's we it goes back to the point we always talk about being having that common sense, being sensible about being in your approach. Yeah, I mean, like you said, Ali, you know what, we're going crazy sitting inside. We don't fancy being on Zoom calls all day, but
Yeah.
or you know what, we need that break. We need that fresh air. The weather isn't great in itself. We're still waiting for the vaccines to be delivered to all of us, irrespective of what age groups. Obviously, they've worked on the 90s, the 80s. Now we're coming down to the 70s. But obviously, there's another 3, 4 categories to go, and it could be by late spring, could be into the summer, or the government said into autumn before everyone is vaccinated. I think it was August, September, and it depends how
Yeah.
quick how they go with that. But it's about being sensible in your approach, and these individuals, and it's not everyone, it's a minority, are just causing problems for a lot of people out there.
No, no, most definitely. As you know, I've got a good circle of friends and family, and there's a huge number of people that are testing positive now, Tariq. And my fear is that you don't normally see how bad it is until the third week of when you test positive or when you've had COVID. And
Yeah.
that's when, if things don't recover very quickly, you end up in hospital and potentially in ICU and with a ventilator. And we know that hospitals are now absolutely overcrowded. Our UHB, Heartlands, QE, they are over 200% above their capacity. And what that means, Tariq, is that they are having now to send patients into neighbouring trusts, places
Yeah.
like Coventry, places like Staffordshire, and even those elective surgeries, people that are there for their knee operation or for their heart operation, they are now being done in private hospitals within Birmingham. But the thing that I couldn't believe, and I thought, that was very embarrassing and very naughty of them, was those individuals that went around QE Hospital and one other hospital in West Midlands, filming the corridors and the A&E, saying, "Look, this is a ghost hospital. There's no pandemic. There's no coronavirus. There's no mass vaccination going on. It's all a mass hoax." And I thought that was very naughty of them and very negligent of them.
Yeah, it's a disgrace actually that that's happening. I know that happened in Gloucestershire too, didn't it? I didn't know about the QE, I'll be honest with you. The thing I've
Yeah,
just learned
yeah.
that, but I know a couple of weeks ago it happened in Gloucestershire, and they arrested that individual for doing that, being a nuisance and not doing the right thing. And our hospitals are, like you said, inundated with patients. Wards are full, and for someone to do that is a total disgrace. It's I have no words to express that, to be honest with you, in
Yeah,
terms
I
of
don't
that
know, absolutely.
individual
I hope the full weight
individual's
of the law
actions.
does come.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and also now the police are got new powers where they can fine individuals. Where I think it's £200 for the first fine now if they are seen not doing what. The only reason why you should come out is if you are going to do your weekly shop, if you're going to do your daily exercise with someone in your bubble or one more person outside, or if you go into a worship or a hospital appointment or a medical appointment, there's no other reason why you should be out. And if police think that you are congregating or breaking social distance rule, they've got every power to fine you, and they have done so, and they're not sort of shy in dishing out these fines now, are they?
No, and the latest news is this evening. You would have seen, Ali. I'm sure a lot of viewers would have seen that. Is that it's now £800 for people up to 15 people congregating, having a
That's
party,
right.
and thereafter they're going to be doubling the fines after that,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
the right thing to do. To be honest, I mean, I don't agree with a lot of things the government have done. The delays that they've caused. Since this coronavirus happened to us, the pandemic happened last year. But I think now you have to really, really tough on people the way they're conducting themselves. And again, it comes down to the minority, doesn't it? Of course, we all want to go out. Of course, we want life back to normal. But let's be sensible about it. Do the right things in terms of getting rid of this virus, and then hopefully life will in some way or another will regain that normality over the period.
Absolutely. And we are a nation where whatever we do, it has an impact directly or indirectly on our fellow citizens. So if we are going to be irresponsible and we're going to openly flout the rules, then we are going to continue to inflate and spread this virus to everyone. And before you know it, the cases are going to go more. The NHS is going to be drowning in all these seriously sick patients, and we'll continue to have our children at home doing home learning. And we'll also continue to be, on furlough, losing more jobs and more businesses. It is just not sustainable. So I fully endorse that public health message that you've just shared with everyone. Just going to touch on the bit about home learning because my kids are now at home, and whilst I'm sort of on my work, they're here with me, and I must say, now we're in the third lockdown. The home learning is far much better. The teachers are online. They are given some work to do, and the kids seem to have, even though they are stuck inside, they're not seeing their mates and they're not outside running around. But the work is now there because I know the first lockdown there was no work, and literally they had 2 3 months off. And I've seen that my kids were, slow. The vocabulary had sort of, wasn't as great, and then the learning was, not as good. But this time round, the teachers and the schools are much prepared this time round. So all in all, I know your child is has he graduated or is he still learning yet at university level?
He's at university actually. He's at Birmingham Uni
How is
in
he
his third
coping at
year.
a university level?
He's coping quite well. You know what? I'm gonna say he's coping quite well, alhamdulillah, because obviously he's in his third year doing dentistry, and they're going in quite regular, 2 3 times a week. Yeah, obviously they're wearing all the equipment.
Yeah.
Because so he's lucky he's got that active part of that life too. But going back to your
Yeah.
point, Ali, like your children, for example, and many other thousands of children at home, it's a massive challenge. It's a massive challenge because people are working from home, like you said, like yourself, and then you've got your children. And I've got to give credit to the education system, to the teachers, for basically, getting those priorities right. And like you said, in the first lockdown, it was very difficult. There was no structure. The guidance wasn't very appropriate from the government too. And I think over time, it's got better in terms of the home learning, like you say. And like I said, I haven't got any young children at home, but from what I discuss with colleagues at work and those friends that we have, and family members, that it is a challenge. And but they give them credit, they're all basically adapting towards that life. And you know what the beauty is, that it's not going to be forever. That's the thing,
Yeah.
and we have to keep that in mind. And you know what, when we get out there, I think as individuals and our children will be much better in their mindset. Yeah, they'll grow from this. If
Absolutely.
anything, we'll all grow from this, and in a positive way, in a stronger way. But like we say, let's try and keep safe. Yeah, let's help each other. Yeah, it's not about me, you. It's about helping each other.
No, no, well said, Tariq. I'm going to
And
move the
keep
conversation
talking.
along now.
Keep talking to everyone. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's very important. And we're going to move the conversation along with regards to the vaccine now. We've touched on it earlier. We know
Yeah.
that we're just shy of the 5 million people that have been vaccinated in the country, which is a real something to be proud of in terms of the NHS and the way it's handled the rollout. It's no easy feat. We've got pharmacists, we've got GPs, healthcare professionals, all helping. Volunteers are now also marshalling and sort of people telling people where to go. So it's a real concerted effort to hit that target of 1 million per day. 1 million per week. I think it is a government target that they want to achieve, if I
2 million.
remember
Is it two
right.
million? Two.
Maybe 2
Is
million
it
per
two?
week, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 million.
To
Yeah.
2 million per
Because you
week.
want to
So
get to that, they
they're
want to
not.
get to that 15 million, don't they? They want to get to that 15 million, don't they? Yeah.
And they want to get
Yeah.
that to that by middle of February, so we're not that
That's
far off
correct. Yeah.
now.
No.
And as you alluded to earlier, it is the over 70s now that are being called in for their
Yeah.
vaccine, and for those people that may be high risk with underlying condition as well, they've also been prioritized as well. At the moment, I think there needs to be a lot of more reassurance with regards to the 12 weeks difference, because initially when the trials were done by the pharmaceutical companies, the gap between the first dose and the second dose was 3 weeks. And here, the NHS England and also the chief medical officer have said that what we want to do is increase that gap to 12 weeks. And what we want to do is get more people injected with the first dose. So at least they've got some sort of coverage around about 60-70%, rather than trying to give smaller number of people a 90% coverage. So which in one way makes sense. The only thing is that I know the early data from Israel, which has been the leading light when it comes to the rollout of their vaccine, they've suggested that the second dose has to be relatively short as possible, around that 3 weeks. Otherwise, the response isn't as high as what they're making it out to be. But when Chief, Mr. Whitty, when he responded, what he said was that they are looking at the response after 2 weeks. But what you see is normally it's a 3 weeks when you see the maximum response. So they should have really tested it at 3 weeks, and they would have seen that maximum response. So I suppose what we want to do is reassure all our listeners and viewers that listen to the medical professionals. Do not listen to housewives. Do not listen to your family, friends. Listen to the experts. And when you do get that medical appointment, please, for God's sake, do not decline it. Do not miss it, and turn up and do your civic duty and get yourself protected and vaccinated. Thoughts, Tariq?
Yeah, so Ali, I absolutely agree with you. I mean, the thing is, around the, as I said earlier on, if somebody doesn't want to take the vaccine, that's their prerogative, isn't it? You can't force anyone. But
No,
what we
no.
would urge is not to scaremonger other people. Those people, that want to take it, they genuinely want to take it. And the thing is, but there's always individuals that will scaremonger. And the way I look at, I've had conversations with people. We all have conversations in our families, amongst our friends. Oh, I'm not taking it because of this. This fine. It's your view. It's your
Yeah.
prerogative to do that. But the majority want to take it. Yeah, they want to live. They want to get.
Yes.
They want to be healthy. And the thing is, they want to come out of this pandemic. And the only way you can come out of this pandemic realistically is with the vaccination rollout. Yeah, that is that bottom line is it's the vaccine versus the virus. That is the message. And the thing is, let's be optimistic. Let's encourage each other. And the thing is, and let's try to overcome this virus. The way I look at it, I mean, the thing is, I was shocked to hear this morning that one of the manufacturers at one of their factories, I think it's in Wrexham, it nearly got flooded. But thank God, apparently, everything's fine there now. That's what they're saying on the
Everything's
news.
fine.
Uh,
Yeah. No, no,
yeah,
absolutely.
so thank
So
God for that.
we've
And we could do without that, to be honest with you. We need the supplies, we need the distribution of these vaccines, everywhere. And we've got one of the worst rates. Well, we've got the worst rate in the world, haven't we? Really, in terms of on average, deaths when you look at it. Um, in terms of millions of patients, and the thing is, it's we're just living in very, very worrying times at the moment. But like we said,
absolutely.
it's a war out there. The vaccine versus the virus.
The virus. Yeah, we've got quite a few people watching and saying hi. Hi, Zai Chowdhury. Hi, Fernando. Got a question by Moody. They're saying that the question I have is what about children under 16 that are vulnerable and are told that they cannot take the vaccine due to not being safe for them? So all I will say is that, with most trials and most vaccines, that the pharmaceutical companies will not try or will not include children, and rightly so, under the age
Yeah.
of 16, and they won't give it to people that are pregnant or are trying for a child as well. So that is why there is that. It's not though that it's not good for them. There isn't the evidence to suggest that we've got any to share. But I have been told by the Department of Health that there are some studies going on in children, and that there's no reason to suggest why it's going to be harmful to to a woman that may be trying for a child or pregnant. But do
Mhm.
consult with your doctor at the first instance as well. So I hope that answers your question as well. The other thing I was going to touch on was, Tariq, was the misinformation that you mentioned is a real threat to the BME community in particular, hence
Yeah.
why around 60% of them are declining their appointment, or worse still, they're simply not even cancelling it, they're not even turning up, and that vaccine is then wasted. And the reason for that is because for historical lack of trust with the NHS and the inequality that we see, but more importantly, because they are listening to people out there. For example, my own first cousins was one person who told 7, 8 people, and these are over the age of 60, don't take it because this vaccine is going to kill you. And they all declined their appointment. So when I heard about it, I picked up the phone to all of them and reassured them, and all of them now have got vaccinated at the weekend. And the one who was
Right.
spreading this fake rumor, and I said to him, I said, "What on earth are you doing? If you don't want to take it, that's fine, that's your prerogative,
Yeah.
but don't persuade or dissuade other people not to." And he said, "Look, no, no, I'm only just passing on what I know to others. I didn't realize that I was going to have this impact and they were going to refuse to take it." And that's what happened, really. So from now on, he's assured me that he doesn't want to take it himself, but he's not going to tell other people about this misinformation. So, but I think, what are your thoughts about, the 70% of the BME community not taking the vaccine?
I'm actually shocked at those figures. I didn't realize it was about up to that much. I mean, I've heard a
70%
lot
for
of
the
negative.
Afro Caribbean, 60%
Okay.
for the Asians.
Wow, that is huge numbers, and it goes back to the point, Ali. It's why are you, you know, in families, for example, I know of some families where, some 80-year-olds have been called in, but the obviously the children have made the decision that elderly person should not take the vaccine, which I think is wrong. The thing is, as we
Yeah.
say, Ali, we should be trying to get out of this pandemic, and this is a solution. Yeah, this is a solution. It's made, okay, in their eyes, it may not be the perfect solution, but we've got an opportunity here. We've got some kind of treatment that will take us out of there, And the thing is, and I just think, with all these negativities, of course, like you said, that the thing is that they don't turn up to their appointments. They're calling in the next number of patients or the batch. And the thing is, I know someone who's a 60-year-old spoke to me the other day and said to me, I won't name the area in the inner city, and he said that I've been called in to take the vaccine. I said, what? I said, you're only 60. You're absolutely, you're very healthy. Because oh, someone never turned up. Some people haven't turned up, and so they've called us in, and it just tells you that the vaccination rollout. You think in some areas it's going really, really fast. They're getting down to the other groups. It's only because there's certain groups, the higher risk groups, that aren't going in, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's not good. And the thing is, if people start, people will see the consequences, the devastating consequences of that, as you just said earlier on.
No, no, most definitely. And Tariq, I think just to sort of pick on that point really about, the lack of uptake, I think we need to make sure that our GPs, that our scholars, that our community leaders, in variety of languages, really get that message out there. And I think it's happening now. We've had various scholars, we've had the medical professionals, giving that message, and we've seen a reversal of that trend now. But we need more of that. So I would encourage everyone to certainly listen to my show on Tuesday, where I've got a GP by the name of Dr. Rizwan Aladina on my radio show, who's a GP for the Birmingham Solihull Clinical Commissioning Group. So he can also talk about the vaccine, but also strategy in order to roll out the vaccine as well. So that's going to be a very important sort of a show, I think, for all of us. But I think it's also worth noting, because there's another question by Moody who said, look, people have had the vaccine, but they've also caught the virus. I think we have to let people know that this vaccine is 80 to 90% effective against the symptoms of coronavirus. So what it means is if you do catch a coronavirus, there's a 80-90% chance that you don't need to go to hospital. The symptoms are going to be relatively mild, and you'll be safe from serious effects of COVID. That doesn't mean you can't get it, and it doesn't mean that you can't pass it on to other people. So I think there's got to be a lot more understanding of what this vaccine is all about. So any thoughts around that, Tariq?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on individual cases, doesn't it? Really, it goes back to that point. Like you said, someone's taken the vaccine and then they've caught it. Maybe on a day before, 2 days before, they might have interacted with someone, who knows, or a group of people, and and whilst they've had the vaccine, that this has happened. But it's individual cases. I mean, we're not scientists in terms of or medical experts, but each case is judged on its own merits, isn't it, Ali? From that perspective. And
Yeah, most
but I
definitely.
think
Yeah, yeah.
and the thing is with the vaccine. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Yeah. So the
the point
vaccine.
that you made earlier about cancelling appointments. We've
Yeah.
got Khalid Mahmood, he's a prime example, the MP for Perry Bar, whereby there was a
Yeah.
cancellation and he was called in, he was phoning regularly. And that's just a prime
Yeah.
example of someone who was phoning for a cancellation, and he managed to get himself vaccinated. And I'm sure with his health, he was eligible in his own right, but just one example, really. And the other one is, Tariq, if I can share with you, is our community needs awareness. Absolutely, Brother Liaquat Loan. I think mosques can play a pivotal role to ask people to get vaccinated.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I know tomorrow, Zia Al Quran, we've got Dr. Wahid doing just a short message, just a couple of minutes, reassuring the congregation about the safety and the importance of taking the vaccine as well. I think there's more mosques that can play their role as well. So well said, Brother Liaqat. Thoughts about maybe the combination of ulama, scholars, and people from the medical professional on a joint platform with the politicians, you know, sharing that message.
Yes. So absolutely, in terms of social media wise, we have some very, very like these community platforms that play a huge part in getting the messages out. And like you said, Ali, you know what? Everyone can play a role. Whether it's politicians, whether it's business people, whether it's community leaders, and you need to be united, yeah, with that message. Yeah, we can't dither around. This is it's very, very serious around the world, not just here. And the thing is, the quicker we come out, the better we will be. And we have to give that message clear cut that the positives, the benefits of the vaccines, and the damaging effect, as we've seen, of the virus across the board.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of minutes left, Brother Tariq, and we're coming to the end of the show. And I don't think our show could be complete unless we touch on the international scene as well, with regards to the goings on in America. And good old Donald Trump, you knew he wasn't going to go quietly, and he encouraged all his supporters and his right wing elements to come and do an insurrection of Capitol Hill, the House of Democracy, and that was obviously put down. But they didn't
Yeah,
call the untold damage, and the reputation of America is in tatters. But certainly with this new government of Mr. Biden and Kamala Harris, hopefully this is a new era. This is a new
yeah,
dawn. I think they started well. They've managed to have these executive orders, which one of them was the
yeah,
reversal of the Muslim ban. I didn't realize that was still in existence. The fact
yeah.
that they
It
had
was.
come out
Yeah,
of
I'm looking
the
at it. Yeah,
World
yeah,
Health Organization and also the Paris Accord as well. So for me, I think within a day, President Biden and the first sort of vice president of a BME background have really done well.
absolutely. You know what? I think it's been very impressive for the first 24 hours. I think he's the quickest president in history, American history, to put these executive orders in place. Only 15 of them, and
Yeah, yeah,
he's turned it around within the first 24 hours, my understanding, and the others took about 3 days and beyond that, or eight, I don't know, 3 days, 4 days onwards. But this is the fastest ever in terms of implementing these executive orders. So really, really impressed. And the executive orders, as you say, one, stop the construction of the border wall. I'm reading it here. Yeah, and
yeah,
you
yeah.
just said end harsh and extreme immigration enforcement. Yeah, and the thing is, and then he said about the Muslim ban and the Paris one. And I think what, he's got his priorities right there within the first 24 hours. He's really united the international community. He's really impressed
Absolutely.
upon everyone in the first 24 hours. And let's hope he continues to do that in the first 100 days. I mean, he's got the other task of overcoming the vaccine. And I think he's actually said that 100 million vaccines in 100 days. Yeah. So that's
Wow.
a target for himself too. So there you go. That's another executive order. So really impressed so far in one
Yeah,
day.
so I think he's asked the House of Democrats to approve a 1.9 trillion budget, and the
Yeah.
most of that is going to go to tackle the COVID, because they have lost. I mean, we have lost 100,000 people due to COVID since the start of March, but in America, it is 400,000 people that have succumbed to COVID, which is a huge real effect and devastated the communities. And this is the president that refused to wear a mask. This is the president that thought it was a hoax, and
Yeah.
was thinking that that you can drink bleach and that would get rid of it and detoxify you. So I don't think he understood or grasped the real situation and the scenario that
Yeah.
America found itself in. And I think
Absolutely.
the fact that he didn't attend the inauguration, I think it was good, because I think he would have made it a Trump show when it was all
Yeah.
about Mr. President Joe Biden.
I agree. the thing is, it would have been all about him, and I think he would have caused a bit more chaos, yeah, negativity. But things happen for a reason, and it's happened for the better. To be honest, he's on his way. He's gone, isn't he? He's gone, and Joe Biden's here. And let's hope, like I said, that Joe Biden makes a positive impact for one and all in the international community. Because it should be about equality, it should be about fairness, and about justice. And let's hope he delivers on that.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think there's a new dawn in as well. It'd be interesting to see
Yeah,
how he gets on with our prime minister. We'll
yeah.
see. That's an interesting dynamic. But thank you, Tariq. We've managed to navigate the 3 or 4 important topics of the day, and no doubt, we'll try and get you in at least once a month if that's okay. Certainly, a
My
good
pleasure.
reaction to.
Anytime.
So,
Lovely being on here. Thank you, Ali. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
thank you. No, most definitely. Thank you, Tariq. As always, a pleasure to have you on
Thank you.
my show to get your great wisdom. So, thank you once again. For
Take
those
care.
of you that are still, thank you. You take care, Tariq. For those of you
Take
that
care.
are watching, please continue to maintain social distancing. This new strain of COVID is very virulent, as much as 70%, and it is tearing our community apart. We are seeing a lot more cases of people testing positive. We are seeing our hospitals and our GPs inundated with cases, with serious cases, and a lot more people dying as well. And furthermore, it is going to take time before we manage to get this rolled out of the vaccine. But until then, it is up to us for us to not to get any penalties or fines and make the lives of the NHS, of the police easier by doing what's right. Until next week, please look after yourselves and each other. God bless.